When the autumn of 2012 settled over New York City, David Blaine prepared for one of the most extraordinary demonstrations of endurance ever staged in modern performance art. For 72 continuous hours, he remained elevated on a small platform, surrounded by 6 towering Tesla coils that unleashed close to 1 million volts of electricity. His only protection was a specially engineered suit of metal armor designed to channel the current safely around his body. The scene looked almost mythic. A lone figure standing within a storm of man-made lightning, each flash illuminating the skyline like a ritual of modern science and ancient awe. Crowds gathered in silence, watching a human silhouette outlined by blue arcs of energy, suspended between spectacle and experiment. What unfolded over those 3 days was more than an illusion. It was a physical meditation on endurance and control, on the tension between fear and mastery. Blaine's performance did not seek to defy nature, but to coexist with it, transforming danger into discipline. In that electric hum, art met physics, curiosity met courage. It was not only a test of the body's resilience, but also a portrait of the restless human will, the same force that compels explorers to climb higher, divers to plunge deeper, and thinkers to question what lies beyond the visible world. South of Tokyo, about 60 miles across the sea, lies the volcanic island of Izu-Oshima. More than 2,000 years ago, during Japan's 7th century, before the Common Era, it became the place of exile for a mystic whose presence would ripple through the country's spiritual traditions. His name was En-no-Gyoja, remembered both as a sage and a sorcerer. According to early chronicles, En-no-Gyoja withdrew into the mountains to create a discipline that joined physical endurance with spiritual awakening. That path became known as Shugendo, a practice of testing the body and mind through isolation, fasting, meditation beneath waterfalls, and long ascents through thin mountain air. Practitioners believed that by mastering suffering and silence, they could awaken powers hidden within the self. Not spells in the Western sense, but inner forces born of balance and focus. Legends that followed him told of marvels, clouds of 5 colors carrying him through the sky, spirits answering his command, and blades shattering when turned against him. Whether these accounts describe supernatural ability or poetic exaggeration, they reveal how deeply the Japanese imagination connected discipline with transcendence. Modern historians regard En-no-Gyoja as a symbolic figure, a man whose search for enlightenment was later embroidered with myth. Yet those myths speak to something enduring: the fascination with human potential and the mystery of consciousness itself. Contemporary neuroscience continues to uncover the brain's extraordinary adaptability and the body's ability to withstand extremes once thought impossible. In that light, En no Gyoja's legend becomes less a record of magic than a meditation on what humans might achieve when pushed to their limits. Across centuries, stories of miraculous endurance, from ascetics on remote peaks to illusionists like Harry Houdini and David Blaine, echo the same desire to transcend ordinary boundaries. Each performance, each ritual, reflects a single impulse that unites both mystic and modern performer. The quest to touch something beyond the visible world, not through sorcery from the stars, but through the hidden capacity already written into human nature. In the highlands of Lebanon, Mount Hermon rises across the frontier between Syria and Israel, a mountain woven into the oldest layers of myth. The ancient text, known as the Book of Enoch, names this peak as the place where celestial beings descended from the heavens. They were called the Watchers, messengers of divine origin led by Shemyaza, who swore an oath upon the mountain's summit to share their knowledge with humankind. The story describes Mount Hermon as both a sacred threshold and a passage between realms, a meeting point where the wisdom of heaven mingled with the fragility of earth. According to the writings, Shemyaza was skilled in enchantments and the study of roots, arts that combined elements of healing and what later generations would call sorcery. Other watchers were said to have revealed metallurgy, astronomy, the making of weapons, and the hidden structure of the stars. Their teachings granted humanity new powers, medicine, science, the study of the skies, but also introduced knowledge once forbidden by divine law. In this narrative, the Watchers were punished not for cruelty, but for defiance. They offered humanity understanding before its time, awakening the capacity to shape and to destroy. Through them, civilization took its first breath. The myth's ambiguity endures. Were these beings some as deceivers or benefactors who lifted humanity from ignorance? Across different cultures, echoes of this story appear again and again, from Mesopotamian tablets to the myths of Sumer, where the Anunnaki were described as radiant figures descending from the stars to teach writing, agriculture, and craftsmanship. These beings, half divine and half mortal, often bore elongated skulls and reptilian features, symbols that some traditions later linked to the Watchers themselves. The Book of Enoch also identifies Satan as a seraph, literally a fiery serpent. The Hebrew roots of the word combine ser, meaning serpent, with rephaim, meaning giant, suggesting a lineage both celestial and monstrous. Over centuries, the image of this radiant being transformed into the adversary of heaven. Yet within older traditions, he appears less as a rebel against good than as a bearer of illumination, a figure who crossed divine boundaries to share the secrets of creation. Viewed through mythic and symbolic lenses, these tales express an enduring human tension, the belief that knowledge itself carries both salvation and peril. Whether told through the descent of angels, the wisdom of the Anunnaki, or the serpentine fire of the seraphim, they reflect a single archetype, the gift of understanding that forever changes those who receive it. In the year 1482, Portuguese navigator Diogo Cao sailed his caravels into the mouth of the Congo River, becoming the first European to journey deep into the heart of Central Africa. On both banks, dense rainforests rose in green walls, concealing communities that had flourished there for centuries. Cao's expedition spent months charting the waterways and establishing contact with the people of the Congo Kingdom, a powerful realm governed by intricate systems of trade, belief, and diplomacy. When Cao returned to Lisbon, his accounts stirred great interest at the royal court. The Portuguese crown soon dispatched priests and missionaries alongside traders, seeking to bring Christianity to what they called a new land of souls. It was an era when Europe's crusading zeal had begun to merge with its colonial ambitions, a union of faith, commerce, and conquest. Over the following century, Catholicism took firm root across the Congo. Churches rose beside rivers and markets, yet beneath the surface, older beliefs continued to breathe. Among these traditions was the concept, shared with ancient Egyptian thought, that each person possesses more than one soul, a higher spirit guiding identity and a lesser spirit animating the flesh. In Congo cosmology, the lesser spirit lingered with the body after death, while the greater one journeyed beyond. Missionaries reinterpreted these ideas through the lens of Christian dualism, calling them guardian and fallen angels. Yet the native understanding persisted quietly, often hidden within new religious forms. As the Church's influence spread, practitioners of Vodun, known locally as Bokors or ritual healers, continued their ceremonies in secret. European observers reported astonishing tales of rites said to awaken the dead, of bodies that moved without memory or will. These legends gave birth to one of the most enduring myths of Africa, the zombie, a being animated by the life force alone, stripped of emotion and self. In this view, resurrection meant reanimation of matter, not the return of consciousness. Centuries later, scholars would trace these accounts to the syncretic blend of indigenous spirituality and colonial suppression, a world where oral myth, metaphor, and trauma converged. Yet modern interpreters, including some speculative theorists, have proposed other readings. In West African mythology, the Orishas and Loas are described as divine emissaries who descended from the heavens to guide humanity. Ancient carvings depict them in vessels shaped like luminous pods, their heads elongated in forms symbolic of wisdom. Within those stories, Vodun's sacred power, the capacity to move between life and death, was said to have come from celestial teachers. Whether understood as allegory or as memory of forgotten contact, these narratives speak to the same human fascination, the hope that death is not an ending, but a boundary that might one day be crossed. From the riverbanks of the Congo to the carved shrines of West Africa, the myth of the zombie endures, not merely as a tale of terror, but as a reflection of humankind's oldest dream, to awaken the body and perhaps to reclaim the soul. Cape Canaveral, Florida, August 20th, 1975. A Titan IIe rocket rises through the morning haze, carrying the Viking spacecraft on a journey of more than 420 million miles toward a destination that has fascinated humankind for millennia, the planet Mars. Over the course of 11 months, the unmanned probe will traverse the void and attempt a landing on the Martian surface, where it will conduct one of science's most ambitious experiments: the search for life beyond Earth. To many researchers of the era, Mars appeared barren. Its thin atmosphere, violent dust storms, and wide temperature swings suggested a world long past vitality. Yet NASA devoted more than $1 billion to reach it, an investment not only in science, but in humanity's oldest longing to understand the lights that shape the night sky. The red planet has captivated observers since antiquity. Through naked eye astronomy, ancient civilizations marked its movement across the heavens and imbued it with divine meaning. Egyptian scholars charted it on the Sin and Mut star map as early as 1534 BCE, placing Mars among the first recorded bodies in the known cosmos. Centuries later, its crimson glow appeared on the painted ceiling of the tomb of Seti I, a symbol of celestial order and power. Across cultures, Mars embodied both reverence and dread. Its fiery hue recalled the color of blood and the chaos of battle. In Babylon, the planet was dedicated to Nergal, god of plague and destruction. The Greeks called it Ares, the Romans Mars, deities of war whose favor determined empires' rise and fall. For warrior societies, the planet became a celestial mirror of conquest, endurance, and fate. More than 3,000 years later, humankind still turns its gaze toward that same red light. In March 2009, NASA launched a Delta II rocket bearing a new instrument of discovery. the Kepler Space Telescope, named for the 17th century astronomer Johannes Kepler. Its mission was to measure the rhythm of distant stars and reveal unseen worlds orbiting them. For 3.5 years, Kepler stared into a narrow section of the Milky Way called Orion's Spur, monitoring more than 150,000 stars. Each faint flicker of starlight signaled a possibility, a planet crossing before its sun. Within its first observations, Kepler confirmed 5 exoplanets and hinted at hundreds more. Each discovery expanded the boundary of the known universe, suggesting that worlds like our own may not be rare, but abundant. Once located, these planets were studied for the one ingredient common to all life on Earth: liquid water. In that simple search for a shimmer of light, a drop of water, a trace of life, the ancient reverence for the red planet evolved into something new: the quiet, methodical pursuit of understanding. This has become the guiding principle in humanity's search for life beyond Earth. Follow the water. Every known form of life on our planet depends on it. Wherever liquid water flows, beneath ice, within rock, or in the darkness of oceanic vents, life endures. Earth's extremophiles prove the point. Some survive in the boiling mineral plumes that rise from the ocean floor, thriving in heat and pressure that would destroy most organisms. Others persist in pools tainted by radiation or acid, places once thought completely sterile. Through them, science has learned that life is astonishingly adaptable, yet always bound to one essential element: liquid water. To locate that element on distant worlds, astronomers turn to light itself. Specialized telescopes capture the faint glow reflected from a planet and divide it into a spectrum, a celestial fingerprint. Within that rainbow, certain wavelengths vanish, absorbed by gases in the atmosphere. Each missing color corresponds to a specific chemical. By reading those spectral gaps, scientists can identify the presence of oxygen, water vapor, or methane, all potential signs of biological activity. Understanding how life alters its environment begins at home. Along the quiet tidal flats of California's Moss Landing Wildlife Area, NASA researchers study ancient communities known as microbial mats. These layered colonies of bacteria are among Earth's earliest life forms. They leave behind patterns and textures, biomarkers, that record how living organisms interact with their surroundings. By analyzing the gases released from these mats, especially methane produced by certain microbes, scientists create models for detecting life on other planets. The same signatures that satellites trace above Earth could one day reveal activity in the atmosphere of an exoplanet. Proposed missions, like the terrestrial Planet Finder, are designed to search for precisely these chemical clues. The faint traces of respiration or photosynthesis, written in light. Earth's own air offers a template. Our atmosphere remains stable only because living systems constantly renew it, replenishing oxygen and balancing carbon dioxide. Without biology, it would have dissipated long ago. So when astronomers detect a distant world whose atmosphere carries that same chemical harmony, they glimpse something profound, not proof of intelligence, but evidence of life itself. Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, Florida, August 30th, 2012. From the Atlantic coast, twin rockets lifted into a clear morning sky, each carrying a probe designed to explore one of Earth's most mysterious frontiers, the Van Allen radiation belts. These two invisible rings of charged particles encircle the planet like luminous halos, shaped and held in place by Earth's magnetic field. For 2 years, the probes traced their paths through regions of intense radiation, gathering measurements at every orbit. The data revealed a phenomenon far more dynamic than expected. Rather than static zones of trapped energy, the belts behaved like living currents, shifting, pulsing, and occasionally expanding into a shield that deflected streams of harmful particles from the sun. Acting together with Earth's magnetic field, they formed a natural barrier that prevents lethal radiation from reaching the surface. Without this unseen armor, life as it exists on Earth could never have endured. The discovery reshaped our view of the near-Earth environment. The Van Allen belts are not fixed structures, but constantly changing systems that respond to solar storms, compressing and releasing energy in rhythmic waves. Their complexity led some commentators outside mainstream science to wonder whether such precision might represent something beyond pure physics. Perhaps a mechanism engineered on a planetary scale. A few speculative theorists even proposed that the belts serve as a form of planetary defense, capable of dispersing not only cosmic radiation, but any energetic intrusion from beyond our world. While these ideas remain far outside accepted science, they illustrate the fascination inspired by Earth's magnetic shield. In that same spirit of curiosity, researchers have continued to examine reports of unidentified aerial phenomena and alleged crash sites, accounts that stretch from Roswell to remote regions of Canada. Over the past century, fragments of metal, declassified documents, and eyewitness stories have fueled debate about objects that seemed to fall from the sky, often followed by swift military retrievals, whether interpreted as evidence of secret technology or the imagination of witnesses. Such tales echo a deeper myth, the vision of powers contending above the clouds, as ancient texts once described battles among the gods. From the epics of India to the Book of Enoch, stories of conflict in the heavens have long mirrored humanity's search for meaning in the unknown. Today, the Van Allen belts stand as the measurable physical counterpart to those myths, an ever-changing fortress of magnetism that guards the fragile sphere of life, adrift in the cosmic sea. Cape Canaveral, Florida, February 21st, 2019. A Falcon 9 rocket roars into the sky, carrying an Israeli-built spacecraft known as Bereshit. Its destination, the Moon. On board lies a unique payload, a compact digital archive called the Arch Lunar Library. Encased within layers of fused quartz, it contains more than 30 million pages of human knowledge, from scientific data and literature to art, history, and a complete record of the English language Wikipedia. The Lunar Library was designed to endure. Each quartz disk is etched with microscopic text and images, stacked across 25 layers. The uppermost 4 contain 60,000 analog photographs, a visual guide teaching any future discoverer how to access the deeper, digitally encoded data. The entire archive was engineered to survive the extremes of space for billions of years, potentially outlasting the planet that created it. After a 7-week journey, Bereshit reached lunar orbit. On April 11th, as the lander began its final descent, a gyroscope malfunction triggered the main engine to shut down. The spacecraft crashed into the Moon's surface, a mission failure by one measure, yet a partial success by another. Though the lander was lost, engineers believe the quartz-encased library endured the impact, resting now amid the dust of Mare Serenitatis, waiting for whoever may one day uncover it. The project was conceived not only as an act of preservation, but also as a gesture of cosmic communication, a time capsule for the distant future. Its creators imagined it as a message from humanity to any intelligence that might inhabit the solar system eons from now. In their view, archiving civilization beyond Earth retraces a path that others, perhaps far older, might once have taken. Among ancient astronaut theorists, the Lunar Library represents a symbolic return, humanity's first conscious attempt to do what they believe extraterrestrials once did on Earth: leave behind records for future species to find. Around the world, archaeologists and enthusiasts alike have discovered artifacts that seem to challenge conventional timelines. One such object, unearthed near London, Texas, in 1936, was a hammer partially embedded in ancient rock. The wooden handle, undergoing a process called coellification, appeared to be millions of years old. The surrounding sandstone formation, known as the Travis Formation, dates to approximately 140 million years, long before the accepted emergence of humankind. Most geologists interpret the find as a natural concretion encasing a modern tool. Yet to believers, It stands as evidence that traces of advanced beings may lie hidden within Earth's deep past. The Bereshit mission, in this light, becomes more than an experiment in technology. It is a reflection of the same instinct that shaped those legends, a desire to communicate across ages, to reach the unknown, and to ensure that even if humanity fades, its story endures among the stars. From the mountains of myth to the laboratories of modern science, the story of humanity has always reached beyond itself, upward, outward, and into mystery. Across ages, people have carved symbols in stone, launched vessels of data into the void, and searched the heavens for reflections of their own origin. Whether through sacred texts, forgotten legends, or missions written in the language of engineering, the impulse remains the same: to understand who we are and where we came from. Perhaps the truth lies not in the divide between gods and scientists, but in their shared pursuit, the belief that knowledge can outlast time, that memory can transcend matter. The Viking landers, the Kepler telescope, the lunar library, each stands as a chapter in a much longer narrative, one that began long before us and may continue long after we are gone, somewhere beyond the reach of air and sound. Our archives rest on the moon, waiting in silence beneath a blanket of dust older than life itself. Should another intelligence one day find them, they will not uncover just the record of a single species, but a testament to the restless curiosity that defines it. A message carried across the darkness, written in the hope that even in the vast quiet of the cosmos, the voice of humanity will never truly fade.